School. So today's will be a keyboard inputs. How we can read input from user through our keyboard. So the objective of this will be to understand user inputs, create a Jobson pane to collect user inputs. And Jobson pane is different from the console, because the one we use is a console in 211 and 212. So we're going to use this Jobson pane to receive user input. And then we use a scanner to collect input from the console. That is the console one, using a scanner. And again, we use a scanner to collect input from a file. So it means it's not only console. We may have some input data that we want to read from a text file or any type of file, could be CSV or any type of file, to read some inputs from. Similarly, maybe eventually we might, if that is part of the syllabus, or as if we have the time, one time like that, to do the advanced Java programming of this, then we see how to connect to the database to do some kind of transactions like. So, and then understand how a scanner handles token and delimiters. How is it going to handle tokens? Like you have a text and you want to make it into pieces based on some certain delimiters. So we're going to see, which is very, very important. And please, if you follow, that's why I don't give assignments. If you follow, you have enough exercises. Please, I always say that utilize your time. Make sure you follow the exercises, do them. And I believe if you can do the exercises, then you should not have any issue with this course. Yes. So why do we need to have input from user? Why do we need to have input from user? In most cases, we normally do a manual assignment statement, which we use is to hard code values. Like this is a string. This is hard coding. Suppose I want to just store this, and probably later I want to have a different message to say this is a string. Like say, for instance, I want to store your name. Now, if I have a variable string name equals to then your name is hard coded. What if I want to change the name? Maybe I want to collect another person's name. So that means I have to create for everybody's name this variable that will store everybody's name, which prior to that, I don't know how many people will be giving name and people with their own different names. So how will I know? If I'm expecting 1 million names, does that mean I have to create variables of 1 million to store people's name? No. So I have to just create one single variable, and the variable, since it is a variable, the value can change. So, but if the value can change, through what do we now change the value? So this is why we avoid the hard-coded. We now receive the input from any source. So it could be from a file, could be from a console, could be from that of the Jobson pane, which we want to see soon. Now, okay. So you can easily change hard-coded values because you have the source code and a Java IDE. Yeah, because you have the source code. But imagine if you are developing for a client, does the client now have access to the source code for him or her to modify? Because you, the programmer, have access to the source code. You can open your code, modify, change the name, change the value there, but that is not right. Somebody who doesn't have access to the code, what can he do? And remember, at the time you develop any application, you distribute the software to meet people to use it. And users will not have access to the code for them to change. So you have to provide them with an interface where they can now interact with the application. So that's providing the interface for them to provide the input or data. Then that is why we need to have the user input. So there are different types of user inputs, like pressing a button on the game controller, entering an address on the GPS, entering numbers and function into a calculator, telling people your name. So these are all methods of user inputs. You may have a button to click. That button to click, you are sending an input. So pressing a button on a game controller, if you are having a game, then you are sending an input. If it means sending a signal, then you are sending an input. Or entering an address on GPS. You have a GPS and you are entering an address. Then definitely that's also look at it as user input. So imagine if the address is hard-coded, how can you change? We use a Google map to say, okay, we want to go somewhere. So what if that somewhere is hard-coded? That means each time I must go to where it was defined. But in this case, we have given a chance of us to even modify where we want to go. We open a Google map and type in our location from the source to destination. So if from here I want to travel to elsewhere, all I just to define my destination, all I type and then the location will be located and that I can move on. So that is for user input. Then entering numbers and function in the calculator. You have a calculator, you enter 2 + 2 = 5. So imagine if there is no button for you to enter the inputs. How is that possible? So that's also make it necessary to have this. Now telling people your name. You type in, I say, what is your name? Enter it here. So we provide you with a box where you enter your name. What if your name is hard-coded? What if I want to now ask someone to give me his name? So you see, the names cannot be hard-coded. I have to provide an interface where you now come and type in your name. And we have seen a registration page. We open a website, we are asked to register, we type in our name, email, phone number, and everything there. So such is also a source of gathering data and through the interface. So for an ability of you to provide such kind of mechanism for user to enter input is what we mean by user input. So without user input, what is going to happen? When will the game make your character jump if there is no input? And how will your GPS guide you to go if you don't supply any input? And again, what numbers will your calculator going to crunch if there is no input? So I want to say 2 + 2. If there is no such input, how will my calculator be able to calculate what I want? So what people call you, if I have not given them my name. So the way I can give them my name for them to call me, I have to. Just like you are given a form to register and you don't tell your name there, how can they know your name? So I have to, you the user that you want to now register, you be the one to provide all the details. So the programmer must have provided such for input to be supplied. So I believe this is clear now. We have seen the reason why we need user input. Now the next is how to get the user input. If you know why, so now how? There are many ways to get user input. Could be through buttons, that's either physical or virtual, or wheels and dials. Sometimes we dial like voice recognition. Yeah, it's another way. Text dialog boxes or property files. We can have a file to supply. We can have a text dialog boxes. Text dialog boxes, just like we used to have the Jobson pen. It's a box dialog boxes where it pumps up to enter something, or things like a pop-up window where we will be asked to enter our username and password, or sometimes through a voice. Now, especially with the new technology in our many devices, you send input to your mobile phone. Let's say you give an instruction to your phone to make a call. Then that voice that you are sending to your phone is an input. It's an input. And then phone will now process the message and then execute. Or where there is a need of wheels and dials, which in those days we use when we want to make a call, we dial, or even our mobile phone, we press to dial and make a call. So Java offers many ways of getting user input, including Swing Jobtion Pen or JavaFX or Scanner. So we're going to see each of these. How can a user get input through the Jobtion Pen or JavaFX or using the scanner? But this is said, this will be covered later. That is when we start JavaFX. And remember when we are discussing about Cox 212, I made mention about this JavaFX. That's with this, you can design a very good looking interface because it supports some kind of CSS that is much more richer than the Swing package we use to develop GUI and AWT. So here now we go with the Jobtion Pen. This is a simple way to get input from users using a Jobtion Pen. You just call this class Jobtion Pen and take note of this is option pen, but now we have a G. So take note of the spelling. In most cases, we make mistake of misspelling this. Then show input dialog. Then you now say type something. Then you see here a message saying type something, and then we now see a box here that will prompt us to type something. Okay. Now another one. The input can be stored on a string by just creating another variable here and just Jobtion pen dot show input dialog. Then type something here. Then whatever you typed will be assigned to a variable. Then you can use it for something else. So I will demonstrate this shortly before moving on. So there is an exercise for you. Create a new project and add the input1.java file to the project. Create a Jobtion pen. NetBeans will complain. Follow the NetBeans suggestion for importing the Swing javax.swing.jobtion pen. I'm sure we are not new to the Javax Swing package, if you remember when we are designing the GUI. So this is not a new thing to you. So if you import this kind of package, just like say imports now, in fact, even I don't know, in most of the IDE, when you begin to type the import, that's already. So let me just say string here, name equals to, then Jobtion pen dot Jobtion pen dot show inputs in dialog. Enter your name. So let me check, is the spelling correct? Jobtion pen.
No dot before the pen.
Okay, no dot before the pen, thank you. So that's why, in fact, it's supposed to give us option. Now, if you begin to type here, Jobtion pen dot, so this ideally is supposed to give you an option. Because, okay, it's not giving option, but it's supposed to. Okay, now, what is said here is this is not imported. It's not recognized as a class. So that means that it needs to have an import statement. That is why it's complaining about this. You see, so it's saying you want to create a class Jobtion pen or something, but what is needed here is just to have an import statement, import. But some IDEs, when you begin to type and it gives you option, immediately you press enter. It's selected and then import the package for you. So swing dot Jobtion pen. So Java option is not accessible. Javax. Okay, so option pen will show input dialog. The spelling is correct, so no issue with this. Okay. So let's see here what we have. Junction cannot be resolved. So is it not correct or something else? So is still an error with that. What did I miss? Cannot be resolved. But this was to anyway import javax dot swing dot. So does this support the Junction pen or the version? I don't know why. It's supposed to recognize that Junction pen. Anyway, let me copy the spelling exactly. So all the same? No. So this is the one I'll be looking for. Why now? Javax dot. So what did I miss? Hello, can you see that? What did
Yes,
I
sir.
miss? I think this is, oh, I didn't spell the Junction pen correctly. It's correct. It was correct now.
That's correct.
So it's okay. It's not willing to work that time. Never mind it. So you see, it's bringing this. So if you want to say, you can just say, enter your name. So after you are done, you can just say system.out.print line, let's say name. So when you print, we just display the name, nothing more than that. See, this is it now. So through one of the ways to collect user input is through this Junction pen input, show inputs dialog. I hope this is clear, right? It's simple. It's not difficult. Just have this, but make sure you import this. Import javax.swing.junction pen. So we move on to the next. So you can have as many as that, if you like. Now, so if you collect through a Jobson pen, how is it possible to perform some operation, maybe addition, subtraction, multiplication from that? How is it possible? Let's say, for instance, we go back to this. We say we want to collect an age. We say int age. Yeah. Then, and I come here and say Jobson pen. J-O-P base. Jobson pen dot show. You see, it's now bringing the option for me. Okay. Show input dialog. Let's say here I say age. So in this case, after I said age, can you see that even from here is complaining? It said what? Type mismatch cannot convert string to integer, because each time you use a Jobson pen, it counts as string. So you need to convert it to an integer. And remember, we have done conversion from string to integer. Who can remember that? How can we convert whatever we received from this Jobson pen to an integer? Can you remember that? How do we convert? Can you recall this?
By casting.
Integer dot pass int. Can you recall this? If you want to convert from string to an integer, you said integer dot pass int. So all we need, just take this, put it here. Then what are we going to convert? We take the whole of this. This is what we want to convert, and then we put it in bracket here, in this bracket. Missing R, pass int. So that's all. So this will be accepted. And if you like, we can even add +1, +2, +3. We can perform addition, unlike before that we cannot do that. So if I want to now print out the age, then I can just come here and say name. Remember, I can say name, this, plus name, right? Then plus, I can have a new line and say age, this, then plus what? Age. I don't know, you guys can remember this, right? This is a string, name, then use a plus sign to concatenate the name. The name means whatever name entered here. And then we have a new line, /n. Remember, escape sequence, we did it yesterday. /n means new line. Then age, then that is the age of the person, followed by the value of the age, which is this variable now, because already must have been entered by user that says enter your age. Enter your age. So when we compile, we now have this. Then enter your age. Then we have this. So you see, this is the new line, /n, the effect of the new line. After having new line, then it takes this age down. Look at it, it's come down here, and then print out the age, which is already entered through that Jobson input dialog. Then we have this. I remember we added 1. I typed 87, because that is +1 here that added. That's why it's giving us 88. So imagine if I just come into this and type in the name. I type in the name, I said, this is the name. So it means I'm not making the program to be more of dynamic, because I'm hard coding the name. And the user who is now going to type in the name need not to come to the source code to enter his name. You, the programmer, should provide a way for user to easily type the name. So this is one of the things we need to have this Jobson pen as a way to collect users' inputs. Okay, so I think this is clear now. So we use integer.parseInt, like I said, to convert to convert to this. Or if we want to convert it to a double, we can as well convert to double. So we can, two ways here, the condensed code, we can write this in 2 lines, or we can write it like this one. This is the condensed one. First, you will receive the user inputs, and then next line to convert that to integer. Then the +1, you now add the increments. So rather than doing that, we can write it here. +1 is here, the conversion is here, everything on the same line. Remember, the junction pen is what I have carried and put it here. So which is now holding the user's inputs, and that will be converted to an integer. After converted to an integer to be +1, and then the new result will be assigned to inputs. Hello guys, I hope this is clear now, right? It's not difficult. All we are saying that how do you receive users' input? Please, all you need is just to take note of this. All other things are quite trivial. We have done them right away. If you remember, we have done this integer.parseInt to convert an integer to a string. So this is just the new thing we are introducing now. It's the only thing that we have not seen. But all this, we have seen them yesterday. Conversion. Was it the day before yesterday? So that this choice is a matter of personal preference. You would want to choose what do you want. You want to write it this way or you want to write it this way. Yes. So, but if you need to reference certain values again later, it will be helpful to store these values in a variable. That is it, to store this variable in a variable. That is if you want to use it. So all depends on sometimes the condition of if there is not any situation where that will arise. So you have the choice of choosing your preference. So we have different input dialog. We created a simple input dialog. This is a simple one without any default message to it. Without any default message. With more complicated code, we can customize the input dialog to have some default text to it, all in just to say comma and then supply the second argument. So supplying the second argument, however, anyway, I can still make reference because I believe every student that is here must have done COX 212 and remember COX and what do you mean by method overloading. This is a method, show input dialog is a method, and this junction pen is a class. So the method is having one parameter, this is the parameter, and it's possible to have another second parameter that will specify the default text that will appear. Let's say here, I put this. Let's say maybe it's a value. If it is valid, then it's going to launch. If not, then. So let's see. I put the 12 on the edge. So let's see. Suppose this is my name. So you see, by default, it's showing what 12. If the age by default is 12, let's say, for instance, you want to say enter gender, and gender, you set one of the genders to be what? To be default selected or highlighted or as a default text, then fine. If not what it is, then one can change. So if it is not 12 I want, then I can change. All else, then I have it, and then the age will be printed straight away. So this is a way to specify other values like. So to specify the other values, here now we go. Show input dialog. If you don't have any default message, you can set it to be null. Yeah. And then this is a question. Then we have the text here. And then dialog title, the title of the dialog itself is here. You see, you can customize it to make it. And then the null, and then type something here, which is the default message. So it has a lot. That means it can accept up to how many parameters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It can accept up to 7 parameters. But like I said, if you want to see the details of every parameter, all you need just refer to Java documentation, check for the junction pen.show input dialog. Then you see all the possible parameters. So you now know what parameter you need to call to make use of in your code. So this is the example now. We have these acceptable values to load into this, like creating a combo box, if you like. to select not from the, not to allow user to type, but to select from existing values. So you can create this list with comma separated, which is basically an array. But even though we have not discussed array in this Oracle material, but again, we come to it, we'll explain in much more detail. This is an array with 3 values or 3 elements, choice 1, choice 2, choice 3. So if you want to set this value to the Jobson pane, all we need just to pass the value, acceptable values. And then the one that would be always shows as selected is the second one, which is choice 2. If you put 0 here, it means choice 1. If you put 1 here, it means choice 2. Since it's an array is indexed at 0. The first one is at in the 0, 1, 2. So don't mind about an array. Please, we discuss about array much later. But all we are saying, if you want to create a list on this is a syntax on how to write it. You list out the items that you want to load here. And the same thing here, Jobson pane to show input model dialog, but all you need, just make sure that you cast this to string. You cast this to string and then pass those parameters. So the title here, everything will be set, and then those values will be shown, and then the default selected one need to be specified as the last parameter here, which is basically what this is telling us. When you go back to the previous slide. Okay, yeah, now. That's why they set to be null. Null means there is no any value to show as the default. Okay, so please take your time, take this, run it, have it there, create something. When you have creativity, please just do it. You must not wait for any exercises given to you. You can just create something, imagine something in your brain and just implement it. That is the way to go. If you know the syntax, that's all. So just begin. Okay, then apart from input dialog, then show message dialog. What if we want to now print out the message we type in? Then we can use Jobson pane to show message dialog. So show message dialog and then the message you want to show. So we can set this to be null and then set this one, the message, and then the title, and then this. So it means I can come here. If I want to say thank you for registering, then I will set Jobson dot show message dialog null, leave it as null, name. Oh, let me say it. Let's say dear plus name. So I want to say there, then the name that is entered by the user through the Jobson pane. Then here I will now concatenate with comma and have a new line, for instance, to say this. Then I will now, let me have another new line to have 2 new lines. Then I will say thank you for joining us. Something like this. Just print, thank you for joining us. So I click, then it asks me for the age. It says, Dear Aliyu Garba, thank you for joining us. Then you say what? Okay. So this is just a message, especially when something happened and you want to say, okay, thank you for this, or just to show message. That's why we from the word show message dialog. So all I need here to just say greeting. Let me remove the double line, new line, so that we make it something. Then it says this. Thank you for joining us. Say okay. So I believe this is quite simple. And again, this is another example. So exercises for you guys. If you check your material, there is input o2.java file. You create a new project and add this file. Experiment with the code and try to change the message title, the message, any default input text. Just try to change some things and manipulate, see how the behavior of that's going to be. Okay, so now, thank you. Using a scanner. Before we move on to the scanner, please, any question with input message, input dialog, show message dialog? Any question with in regards to those two things? Yes, are we in the class? I hope we are not sleeping.
Sir, we are not sleeping. We are in the class.
So we are following, right? And that is clear.
Yes, sir.
Understood.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's clear. We will try,
Yes, sir.
try it later.
It will be clear, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, if you have
Oh,
any...
it will be clear. That means it's not clear. It will be clear.
Yes.
Okay.
I joined in a few minutes ago. My question is, do we need to import something before we can use this message dialog?
Yes, you need to import it. That is javax.swing. You know javax, right? When we are doing GUI.
Yes, sir.
You remember Java because I know I see from the profile, you're Fatima, and Fatima used to attend our lectures. You don't normally
Yes, sir,
miss
I'm the one.
classes, so I believe you'll be able to. So you remember this. Anyway, let me show from my code here. Can you see the import? Import javax.swing.jobshanpen. So once you import this is the class. This is a class. Jobshanpen is a class. So from the class, you can call the methods. Yes. So the show input dialog and show message dialog. These are the two methods so far we have called in Jobshanpen class, and Jobshanpen is in the Swing package. Yes. So once you have imported this, then it's fine. Everything will come and use it happily. Yes. So just like I said, please take, you're welcome. Take your time, just try exercises. If you try those exercises, you get it done. You get it very simple. Please don't dump it. Do everything there. If there is a challenge, then you can always post. I can look at it and make correction where is necessary. Now move on to the next one, which is scanner. Getting input with a scanner. Apart from the show message dialog, using a dialog box to receive input, which I'm sure by experience we have seen in one of two applications. By experience where we ask to enter something, we see a pop-up window, we enter something and execute and then send a response there, and then which I'm sure by experience we have seen that. So nobody should start imagining how could that be possible. Imagine with this now, we are not the one who designed the window. This is why it's coming from the Java API library. It's already designed for you just to import it in your library and use it. So you are not the one who designed this. Imagine if you are the one to define this scale and the button and everything here. So it is not done by you. All you need, just import this and then call the methods that are there. Just enjoy. That's all by using them. Okay, so now next is using the scanner. Now a scanner also is a class. Is a class that needs to be imported as well. So a scanner object opens a string for collecting inputs. It opens a string for you to supply inputs. And how does the scanner works? Because even from this scanner, we can receive either from a text file or from a console. Either way, it has a great application that we can use to accept users' inputs a lot. Now, system.in reads scanner to collect input from the console. Remember the system.out. Remember that's the system.out. The system, it refers to your computer because your computer also, it's look at it as a class. containing so many objects. And one of the objects in your computer is the keyboard, the mouse, the screen there, and every part of your computer is, look at it as an object. So the entire system computer is called system, and that is a class. Now in the class, computer as a class, there are many components there, and each of the component is regarded as object. Now, every object, if particularly the input and output, I/O, input output, the input is the system.in. So when you say system.in, it refers to the keyboard. When you say system.out, it refers to the monitor. And that is why if you want to print out something, we call the out method. Oh, I've deleted that message. Okay, here is it now, system.out.println. You see, name and the, so the system, the out is the monitor, the system is the class, which means it refers to our computer entirely. Now the out is the monitor, the print is the command. The command, just like I want to give instruction, if nobody to give the instruction, how can I give the instruction for the instruction to be executed? I need to have someone that I can engage to say, okay, if I say write, who will write? I need to mention, is it Fatima that will write or who is going to write? So I need to mention that, oh, you, please write. So that's person that is going to write must be an object. And then the next to do is to give the instruction, and that instruction needs to come in form of an action. That is a verb, right? So like print now, print is a method that we are giving to the out. Out is the monitor. So we are saying monitor should print what? What is going to print? We now pass the parameter, the message to print, or whatever we want it to print. So imagine how you are passing the instruction now. And that's why we call it object-oriented, because everything, every action is going to be done by object. It's going to be done by object. So now in the situation where we want to read input now, not the output, not to output it, but to read it. So that's why we need this scanner again. And we say system.in, not system.out. The system.out is the monitor, calling monitor to print something, but in is keyboard now. So this ready scanner to collect input from the console. Now type your input in your IDE output window. That is it. Let's say we show here where you see a message saying, please enter your name here, rather than this message. This is from the message dialog. But what if we want to have it here? And remember, I think I've demonstrated this sometime with you guys when I was illustrating with yes, this is another one program written for one MSc student. So now this is using, anyway, this is Python, so I don't want to go into Python. Let me just leave it. So we come here. Now type in your inputs in your IDE to output the window. It is also possible to use scanner without an IDE. Yes, without an IDE. We can use scanner without an IDE, just like the one I normally used to use console to compile, run my program, supply the inputs, all from this, which I think one time like that, I've ever demonstrated this to you guys. Yes, when we are doing banking and the rest, like maybe what amount you want to withdraw, something like that. I think I've demonstrated that if you can recollect. Now, it is best practice to close the scanner stream when you are finished. Just like you open a book, you want to read. So it's a very good practice when you are done with the reading of the book, you close the book. So it's the same thing here. We open a scanner. A scanner is like a stream where it allows us now to accept input. So when you accept the input, it is good to close it to avoid garbage collection. So you close the string by just calling this clause. So remember, how do we just call this clause, or we make reference to the object here? Remember, since this SC is an object of the scanner class, and it's from this we can now call those actions, because we need to create the objects that will go and read the input from the user. When it is done, we now say, okay, this object that represents our scanner string, we then close it. We say sc.close, because it's possible we may have more than one instances of scanner. So, but the specific one we want to close, just like you come to read a book where you open many books. When you are done with reading one particular book, it does not mean when you say close, it means you close all the books. No, a particular book will be the one to be closed. So you need to specify, and that specification is here now. You say sc.close. Where is sc? Is this scanner, this particular one. So if you have another scanner object, but of course, two objects cannot have the same name. So you can refer to each of the object of the scanner. So the way to do it is simple. It's just write this line, scanner sc equals to new scanner. Then inside this bracket, you put system.in. So this system.in refers to the console. Yes, through the keyboards. So reading inputs with a scanner. This is an example to just say, okay, run, then type something, take it to the program, read it, and the rest like. So the scanner searches for token. Token are separated by a delimiter. The default delimiter is a space. So that means the scanner will come and search for a token. And token is every word is refers to as token. Every word is refers to as token, but of course must not be word as long the way it takes is as long as is delimited by a space. Then that's each of one there is called a token. Like here now we have 3 tokens. 1, 2, 3. We have 3 tokens. And the first token is this, the second one is this, the third one is this, because it's separated by space. So if I put the space here, match this, it does not mean it's going to count it as 3. If there is no space, we take this until where it sees space, then it stop. And then another one like that. So this is the way the scanner used to read. When you say next, we can use the next to go to iterate over, even if we have 1 million tokens. We can use the next to access everyone. Okay, so here we go. This is the interesting one where we can enjoy the flavor of the scanner. Now, scanner, like any other class, has fields and methods. Fields, remember, are properties, and methods are the activities or operation or functions associated to that class. Since if we talk about a class, the next thing to talk about or to remember, in a class, there must be object. Whenever there is an object, there must be activities that will be done by object. Those activities are the behaviors. So behavior, things that object is expected to do. Yes. Just like now, we say we have a car. A car is as a class. Can you, I think I've mentioned, what can you say as properties of car? We mentioned the color, model, and the rest. So what car can do? If we say this is a car, that means we have the object already. The car that we have there specifically must have some certain functions. Yes, certain functions. So anything that will be an action that will be done by the car is what we call methods. So here we have a scanner, and scanner is a class. So if scanner is a class, we can create an object that will do every behavior or every activities of the scanner class. Okay, fine. What are those methods that are associated to the scanner? One is next int. Next int, whatever you say next int, is read the next token as an integer. Remember we said it reads, scanner reads what? Token. And when you say next int, it reads a next what? This integer. Let me say now this. Let's say this. Now, if I say next int, first initially, let me say my cursor is here. My cursor is here now. When I call this method next int, what it does is to move from here to here. This is the next int. If I call this next int again, if I want to say next int, it now comes here. When I say next int, if I call next int again, it comes here. If I call next int again, it comes here. Remember, we says delimited by space. There must be a space between one token and the next token. So when I say next, is I iterate over to the token. And as far as this is concerned, we have 4 tokens. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 tokens. So when I call next will allow me to move from here to this, to this, to this. So I need to call this next token how many times? 4 times for me now to exhaust all of this. So next, by the time you call next token, next int, but provided let it be an integer. If you say next int, automatically it does the casting to an integer. If you say next double, next float, next car, then like that. Or next line or next. Okay, so we have next double and next. So when you say next, it reads the token as a string, but this next double, read it as what? Double. Next int, read it as int. Okay, so now if I come here and I said Alex space like that. So let's say now I have these 3 spaces, 3 tokens. Now, if I want to iterate over to this, all I need is just to say next. Next will take me here. Next will take me here. When I call next again, it will take me to this. When I call next again, it will take me to this. So if I want to exhaust all of this, how many times do I need to call next? 3 times. Alex, Amina, and Omar will now go through, and each of them, because it's separated by space. Now, but if I say next line is different from next. Next line means read until end of line. It means everything will be read on that same line. Everything will be read. So if I have a variable here, and I call this next, name 1, but here now I call next line. Now, if imagine if I don't have this, if I say next, or let me do this, next, and then here I say next and assign to this. What is the value of name here? Imagine this is a program, and this is what I have received. This is what the user has typed. User has come to type this on the console, and I call this next, and I call this next and assign to name. What is the value of name? What will be printed?
Alex.
Okay, so someone said Alex. Anybody? Any different answer?
Amina.
Okay, so why Amina?
You called next the first time before the second one.
Yeah, so next will now do this. When I say next again here, it will now come to Amina. Because I called next 2 times, so 1, 2. Again, if I come here and say next here, and I call next here, what is the value of name?
Omar.
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 So now, yeah. So if I come here and say next, but here I put next line, not next line. What is the value of name?
All the 3 names.
Alex,
Amina,
Amina, Omar.
Yes. So it's going to read until end of the line. Whatever we type here, until the end of the line, whatever long it is, if you have as many as long as it's in the same line, everything will be read and assigned to name. But when I call name next, it's going to read it based on spaces. So now, here I go. I say next. Here, and I say anyway, let me say comma here, then this. Okay, so next and next line. What is the value of name? Yeah. Okay, sorry. Let me check. I don't want to mix next and next line together. Yes, what is the value of name?
Amina.
Okay,
Amina Omar
somebody
Amina
say
Fatima.
Omar
Amina.
Fatima. No, Amina.
Somebody,
There's
okay.
a space. Oh, sorry, it's Omar.
Okay, so you have said Omar, then any different answer? Remember that the limiter we said is what? Space, right? So
Yes,
when
sir.
I say next, you read until where you see space, you stop. So you start, Alex, is there space? No, until here, isn't it? So next will now refers to Alex Amina. Now, when I say next, it will now come to what? Umar. That's all. Yes. So that is, I think it is simple, straightforward, not difficult. Okay, so now system.out.system.in, and then we read the first one as integer, this one as double, and this one as string, like that. Then we close. Next int, next double, next. Okay, so let me demonstrate this in the code. Yeah, I will overwrite this guy, the junction pen. Okay, so I will just go here. I will import, make sure you import the scanner, java.util.scanner. This needs to be imported, java.util.scanner. Okay, so you can now come and instantiate the scanner objects. If you like, you can call it input. The name is just a name of your choice. Like make it input or make it in or something like meaningful, but always choose a meaningful name. Okay, choose a meaningful name, something that reflects what it does. Like maybe you can call it read or input. So new scanner system.in. Then you end with semicolon. So now we are there. Next, if I come here and say input dot, let me set, I want to set my age int, or let me say int age equals to input. Now I call it input dot next int. What will I use? Is it next int or next double?
Next
Remember
int.
that what I want is an
Int.
integer. Int, thank you. Because what I want is to read an integer. So I'll just say next int, because what I have here is an integer. I cannot say next int and then use next here. Because if I say next, it's automatically going to be a string. Okay, so let's go here. H, let's say double amount. Then we now say inputs amount equals to input. We still need to refer to the input dot next double. So you see, we are saying that this object that we have created the object now. So if you have the object, the next is to send the object. We send the object. How do we send the object? We said input.nextInt. We are saying that this object, just like you want to send somebody, but you need to have that person for you to send him. So the person is created here. We now say, okay, please, this, go and get me the integer entered by the user. That is the token entered by the user. And then you go there and get me the next double entered by the user. So I have the object. All this I'm referring to the object created here, which if I change this, I have to also come and change it here. So you see, next int is a method. Next double is a method. Okay, so let me say now string name equals to input dot next. here now. I use next. String next. So let me print out the values. So I will say system.out.print line. Let me say name, then concatenate with name. Then I will say age, then plus age. So if I want, I can have a new line. If I want to have it a new line, or I want to print it, but using a tab. So I can just say /t to create a tab. Remember, we did this yesterday, escape sequence. After name, then I'll have a tab, then age. Next, I will concatenate, then I will have, let's say, balance. Then I will have the balance, so the amount. But then I need a tab here after balance. After age, I will need a tab. So here we go. So one thing I'm going to show here is we're going to see a cursor blinking. But what to do, we might not know. There is no communication. It's not properly communicated. Imagine you go to the ATM machine, you put in your card and it says, and you don't see any message that says enter your PIN. How do you know that you're supposed to enter your PIN? How do you know that you are supposed to enter an amount to withdraw? So there should be a message to communicate. So let me show you where at least we need that message. But right now we don't have the message and we don't know the order in which we need to supply the input. Is it age first followed by amount followed by name? We don't have such information. The information is missing. So you see, as it is now here, the program is running and it also is here now waiting for us to enter those values. So first age, but how do you know they're supposed to enter age first? This is not communicative. It's not communicative. It's not friendly. And I don't know whether to enter name first, followed by amount, followed by my name. So I don't know the order. And if I don't put it in the right order, then definitely it will not be correct. So let me say here, the age is 87, and give a space, and then amount, like it this, and then the name, then Aliyu. So now if I say Aliyu Garba, the fact that I call next, the Garba will be skipped. Don't forget that it's not going to include Garba. The Garba will be skipped because we are using next. Okay. So now press enter. When you are done, you press enter. Can you see that? You see the formatted one that will say system.out.print line here is here. So, and the order in which we have arranged this will say name first, followed by age, which is different from the order in which we have supplied the input. But this is our own choice of preference. We choose the way we want it. And the tab, you see, is well spaced, well formatted. This is the age, this is this. Even though it seems like it has not preserved space for the tab. After this name, it does that, then age, it gives a space, then age here, /t for this. Okay, I think is a spacing. Okay, so the ordering of this, how we want to order matters. It's not must not be the order in which we receive the input. But one thing that is confusing here is we don't know whether we are supposed to enter it in this order. There is no communication. And again, even if we know, but yes, look at this name where I said, if you say next, look at it, next int, we read what? 87. When I say next double, it read what? This. When I say next, it read what? Only Aliyu. Only Aliyu. Why not with Garba? While I've typed in Garba is because I use next. Okay. So let me again run it. Okay, sorry, before then, let me say next line here. So let's see what is going to happen. Whether it's going to read from beginning to the end, or it's just going to take the next line and assign. Yes, so the next will read until end of line. So is it because we have called this next and next double, so this will not start from beginning and just read, or it's going to start from beginning and read until end of line? So let's see the impact of having a mixture with next int, next double, and next that. So I will enter the age, then I will enter the amount, then I will enter the name. So what can you see? Does the name start from, remember we said when we say next int, next line is going to read on the end of line. So does it read until then under this line? Does it start from here, or it start from here until end of line? Which one does it take?
It starts from this string till the end of the line.
Thank you. Start from the string to the end of the line, because already we have called next 2 times, next int and next double. So already have taken care of this. So when we say next line, it means it's going to take the next one until end of line. That's it. Okay, now the only communication that is missing here is just to say communicate properly to the user. Say system.out.print, enter your age, enter your age, amount, and a name in that order. So you see, so at least this will now communicate to the user. You see, it's saying that enter your age, amount, and name in that order. So we now enter, because I have not used a print line. That's why the cursor is not down. It's here now. So I will now enter. Then give a space. Then we have it there now. See, so I think now we are now on the right track. So you see the advantage of communication now, and that's why when we go, we see enter your PIN, a message saying enter your PIN. You now ask a user to say enter. Let me say system.out.print line. Enter your PIN. So something like this. You say enter your PIN, then you might like to say, okay, the PIN should be entered, and then let's say PIN equals to what is the object representing the scanner is input dot next, just use next. Something like this. So if you want, you can now print the PIN. So you can print the PIN. Yeah. So when you go, enter this, so you enter the age, amount in that order. So amount and then name. Let me leave it as Aliu. Now done, but the cursor is still here. Is because, anyway, let's say PIN is here. So you see it has printed the PIN. Type in and press enter. Then you have the PIN. Say enter your PIN, we've entered, and then print. We print it. Okay, so Okay, now next, don't forget, we mentioned the closing. So when you are done here, you finish, just like you finish reading everything, then you now say input dot close. That's all. So you have closing the book when you finish reading. Close the book. Yes. Guys, is this simple? Or a bit confusing?
It's a little bit confusing.
Sorry?
Yeah, well, part is a little bit confusing.
Okay. So just like I said, if there is any confusion, please just let me know the area of confusion, then I can clarify things.
It's all right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sorry?
I say it's all right, sir.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
okay. So try these exercises. And then one of the things we can encounter is input mismatch exception. When you are expecting to read an integer, but then you pass a string. Of course, because the input cannot be passed as expected type. So maybe you read and say next int, and the next int cannot be an integer. A typical example is this. When, let me run this. Remember that here we call, what we call this to be next int. Next int, that is the first one to say next int. So in the next int, which is the age, I now enter my age as ty. How can my age be ty? So this cannot be converted to an integer. So when I do this, then it's going to throw an error. So let me enter the next one as an amount. Let me enter the next one as name. Then you see, it throws an error. It says what? Exception in thread main, scanner, throw for this error, which is next int. It fails to convert that. So that is why the error is occurring. So we have to make sure that the input can be converted. Because when we are expecting an integer, we should make sure that it is the integer that we read. And then illegal state exception occurs because the string is accessed after it has been closed. So meaning that just like you open a book you want to read, after you read the book and you close the book, and again you attempt to read the book after it has been closed. So that is it. You cannot continue to read after the book has been closed. So this is the case now. We have closed, and then we now come and attempt to read from it. So that will throw an error. A null pointer exception is when we read, but then there is no anything to read. Like, of course, because fake file the text doesn't exist. It's also a common error to forget the .txt extension. Like you will come to read a file, but there is no extension. Just like you write fake file without the extension, then it throws an error. But anyway, we have not done the scanner, but this is the way to do it. Reading a file, you essentiate the scanner just the same way, but instead you now use this to get resource as stream, or you can use a file writer to instantiate. But right now, since we are not looking at file, then we don't have to bother ourselves on this. So this is the next one now, reading from a file. Here now they mention only the kind of exception we may encounter. So now reading from a file, how do we read from a file? Java offers several ways to read files. More useful scanner method includes at the next line, which advances the scanner past the current line and returns the input data that was skipped. So the same thing here, when you call the next line, we read until the end of line. And then find a line to find, string to find. That is, if you want to find something in between the line. let's say I have something right on a line, but I want to search where there is an account number. So I will just say find account. So that will search in the line and find a particular text. That is occurrence of a pattern constructed from the specified string, ignoring delimiters, if any. So now here we go. This is the way to read from a file using this. Class.getResource as string, then the name of the file that is there. And then from there, we can now begin to read. And when we read next int, we read the integer, or we say next line, we read until end of line, and then we close. So if you like, we can create a text file and then try to see how we can read from that. So let me just go through. Okay, I think this has come to the end, so we can try that line. So here I call it with SC, which is different from this. So let me comment all of these guys. Let me comment it here. So I have scanner SC equals to new scanner. Then class.get this, and then so I will have a file with this name, fakefile.txt. So if we want, we can have fakefile.txt here. So do we have the text file here? Okay, file. So we can call it fakefile.txt. So I call it textfile.txt. It's not a Java file, and I hope it didn't take it as a Java file. Anyway, let me say this one, 38, and then this one, this. So integer and this. So when I go back to my program here, cannot be resolved to a type. Okay, so let's see here now. We say system dot out dot print line, print ln. Then I will say sc dot next int. If it reads the file, then definitely it's going to give us the next. When we say next int, it comes here and gets this value. But I think let's resolve this problem. I believe this will lead to an error, definitely. So this inputs, now can we say SC? I doubt, because SC has already been something. So definitely it will lead to an error SC because it has not been defined yet. Okay, so let me see this input O4. Anyway, so let me change this to, let me see, class dot get resource. File writer. Let me see this file. Okay, so let me try. I don't know whether file will work for me. Let me change this now. New, let's see, file writer. Then let me say fake file dot txt. Constructor scanner file is undefined. Yes, I know it's undefined, but can be imported. So file writer. So undefined. Anyway, so let me say file. Define this. Dot star. Then fake file dot txt. Multiple markers at this line. So all I did just to add an exception, that is one good thing. When you are using a file writer, if you don't import, you always need to throw this file exception when you come to read a file and the file not found. So you need to throw this exception. So it's always a good practice to import this. So let's see, using a file writer, using a file to read from the file, and let's see if we can read the int32 if it can find the file. Okay, so it says cannot find the file specified. So that means it's not in the right directory. So let me bring it here. Let's test it here if it can be found again. Wow, so where is it supposed to be seeing the file here? Okay, so I move it here. Let's see. Yes. Hello. I hope you are not sleeping.
Yes, sir. We are with you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let me explain what I did here. I know I was alone. Yes. So I imported this IO because I use a file. I was thinking file is in java.util package, but it's not, but it's in IO. IO means anything that has to do with input outputs. But again, you need to throw an exception in the case. And that is why, remember when we attempt to read a file that is not exist, like say, for instance, what I have is fake file.txt. Let me add one to it. So there is no file with a name fake file.txt. So in an attempt to run, it throws an error. It throws an error saying fake file1.txt. System cannot find the file specified because of the throwing the error message. But if you like, you can use what you call try and catch. So I don't want to introduce try and catch at this point until we go to try and catch. So what is most important, I think, here is this. You have this scanner, just the way we instantiate scanner, but instead of system.in, you now specify that the input should come from a file, new file. So you create an instance of file here by writing new file, then the file name. And the file name must exist. So you specify the path of the file. then with extension. So this is reading from a file automatically. Now, when we say SC means this object. Dot next, that means it's going to read from the file and take the next integer, which is basically, if you look at this, we have what? 78. So this 78 is coming from this file. It's reading from the file, not from, imagine it's not from the user input, that is from the console, and not from the input message dialog, that pop-up window, but it's coming from a file. So you may have some records, data in a file, and you want to load it into the memory to process it. So this is the way. So you can just go ahead to do it and things like that. So if you want to read the next one, so you can read the next one by reading next, so that we can read the name from the file. So you see the next is Aliyu because of this. So one good thing about this now, if you give, anyway, next, you can call next as many next as possible. Yeah, you can call as many next as possible. So in each term of this. So when you say next, next int next, next int next, next int next, next int next. So here now we go and write this. We say next int next, next int next, next int next. Let's make this one to be this a bit different from that one. So we can have this. And then this one, let's say all in the same file. Let's say this one is 67 in the file. So when we go to our program here, we say next, next and next, next int and next. We read the first one. Next int and read and take the next. We write this 3 times. Then later we see how to set up a loop. When we go to loop, where even if we have 1 million, all we just to write it in a loop, and that's all. We just check has next and then move on to the next. So this one is first, second, third. In fact, we need to have additional one. So anyway, if you don't have, it's still fine. It reads. See? So it has read this 78 and this one, and this, because I will call it 3 times. For every of this, next int and next, next int and next. So meaning that it's going to come next int and next, take what? 79 and Aliyu. Next int and next will take 36 and Abba. Next int and next will take 16 Fatima. So since we don't have the third one, then this will not be read. So later, like I said, when we go to loop, then we'll do the one that will now iterate over and display the record. So I think we have done enough on this. Please, I encourage you to read, go through the materials to read. So today, I think we can stop here. We'll only be able to cover this. So now our next, we'll do the 3.6. And again, okay, now they have a lot to go. So next will be chapter 4. Yes, so I think we stop here. Any question from you guys? If no question, then I can ask my own question. Yes, next will be methods. Interesting. Okay. Question? Any question? Are you sure you understood?
So my own question is, I recently came across buffered reader. So what is the difference between that and scanner class?
Yes, so, okay. The major difference between the buffer reader and the scanner class is basically the issue of the type. That is one. The one I can remember. when you use a buffer reader, everything you read, it takes it as string. It has nothing to do with any other type. Everything it read is read it as a string. So if you want to read an integer, you read it as string, but then you have to use a Rafa class to convert it to an integer. But you see, in the scanner class, we can say next int to read an integer if it is an integer that is entered. We use a next double to read a double value if it is a double value that is read. But in the buffer reader, you have to, everything you read must come from a buffer reader. So it must come from it normally comes as a string, basically. It normally comes as a string. Every input you read, it comes as a string. Buffer reader, I think something like this. Buffer reader equals to new buffered reader. If I remember, new input stream reader system.in. So this is the syntax of buffered reader. Yeah, so the only thing is just to import the buffer reader. Anyway, buffered reader, the spelling is correct, it's very correct. Buffer reader equals to news hacking. So if you want to say read, now if that is the case, even if I have like an integer and I say int and I say age equals to, all I need is just to say reader dot read. This one has a method read line. Reader dot read line convert. Okay, so you see the issue now. You see exactly what I said. When you say reader.read, what the method, when each time you use a buffer reader, it returns a what? A string. Regardless, it returns a string. That is not like say read int, like this one that I said next int. So you have to convert this to a what? To an integer. So that's just the difference between the buffer reader and the scanner. Scanner has many methods that you can use, depends on the type you want to read. But the buffer reader is always a string. Every input, even if you type an integer, it's not going to see as an integer, it's a string. Let me show you here now with this integer dot pass ints. Then we pass this. Sorry, we pass reader dot read line dot read line. So if you, let me just, anyway, since it's a text file, so let me say system.out.print line. .out.print line. Then I will now write age, for instance. Say age from B buffer reader, then plus age. So if I run this, now it asks me, okay, an error, where the line error, compilation time exception. Okay, it's here now. Okay, reader, oh no, this is read line. Reader.read line. Exception, okay, yeah. So that is another one. You have to import, you have to throw RNI or exception. If not, you always, just like the way we did earlier, throws number format exception and IO exception. So for you to be able to use buffer reader, it has a lot of constraint. So that is it, but this should work. That's all we need to provide. So now next, when you enter an integer, let's say now, I enter this. Ideally, it's supposed to be an integer, but when buffer reader is coming to read this 89, it's going to read it as a string. And that is why when we come here, we converted that to an integer before we use it. So if you look at this, it says this, and then when you print, you now see H89. And if you don't convert and just use this, then it's no longer, in fact, even from the IDE here, it shows that we cannot convert this buffer reader that is of type string to an integer. But if we make this integer, if we make this to be string, then that's fine. It will allow us happily, and we go. That's it. Because H is a string, then you can go. But if you want to perform any addition, subtraction, multiplication, or do any arithmetic with the value, there's no way. You must convert it to a numeric. So you see, so it accepts, because the left-hand side, the one we want to assign to, is a string. So that is just the difference between the buffer reader and that of something. Though there are some other things you can, with the buffer reader, you can tokenize string, even with the scanner. In fact, scanner also has tokenization. So we're going to see on the next lecture if there is that as a part of, otherwise then we can look at, but I believe you did it in 211, string tokenization. But if it's not there, I believe in somewhere in the material, if we go to string class, then we'll see string tokenization. Yes, any more? Did I answer your question, Fatima?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
It's okay, you're welcome. Yes, so any other question? If not, then we stop.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, no question?
I said, the recordings, how can we access it, sir?
I do send to the group now. You don't check?
Yes, sir. The recorded are there, sir.
Yes, the recording are there, because I do send the recording every day.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So if you check on if you check even this one, by tomorrow, once it is if it is ready, even if it is ready in the next few minutes, I will send it. But otherwise, if at all I used to forget, but someone used to remind me as well, so I will send it instantly. Because all
we were not
lectures,
in the general group.
No, there is a group created specifically
group,
for this.
Yeah,
I'm not sending in the general group. In the programming group.
You did not add me to
Are
that
you not
group.
in that group?
I'm not in that group, sir.
So how do you get the link to join this if you are not in that group?
They used to post it to the general computer science group.
Okay, so please, somebody should add you there. I don't know if I'm admin. Just chat me.
They will send it to you.
All right.
So it's okay. Sort it out. If not, then you can chat me off. Then I will respond to you. So we'll find a way of putting you in the group, and then from there you can be getting it. So we can send you the ones previously sent as well.
It's all right, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So you're welcome. So I think we stop. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir.
We see.